What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, the What Makes You Famous podcast, coming to you live and in living color from the Downtown Loft in Conway, Arkansas. And here is the owner of the Downtown Loft, Miss Belinda Boyd. Say a few words about New Year's and the New Year's celebration. Any words of wisdom for the people?
Well, my name is Belinda Boyd, and I am the owner of the Downtown Loft, and we're having a New Year's party, and so I'd like for everyone to come out and have a good time. And my New Year's resolution is to be healthy and happy and rock on. Tell
people how they can get a hold of you and the Downtown Loft if they want to book an event here.
Okay, my website is www.thedowntownloft, and my phone number is 501-428-0010.
Thank you so much, Belinda Boyd.
Thank you.
What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. I think I'm putting a little twang on that. I've been living in Arkansas a little bit too long. You know, I'm from Miami, and I think I'm starting to get a little twang. DJLittleRock.com. I think I just put it on that one. I hope I didn't make anybody mad. DJLittleRock.com. That's a little bit more middle American, middle of the road, what the broadcasters want to hear. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me, Keys Dan, at your next event. You know I like to play for the people. I like the weddings. I like the birthdays. I like the bar mitzvahs. Yeah, I haven't done a bar mitzvah since I was in Miami. I need to find one of those in Arkansas. Maybe you'll have me just travel to wherever you're having one. I appreciate you. Corporate events and the video dance party karaoke jams. Those are my specialty. It's all my specialty. How can you have a specialty in everything? Well, people keep asking me to come back, so I guess I can keep doing this job. I'm excited to play for the people. Have equipment, will travel. Today on the program, more people that have equipment and will travel. Mankind's Remedy. They're a band out of Louisiana, and you get to hear them in your little ears in the next few minutes. Excited to talk to Mankind's Remedy. This week's shows, let's see, it's the beginning of 2020. I hope your New Year's celebration was good. I do have to tell you a little bit about my New Year's celebration. I was at a new venue. I say it's a new venue. It's a new owner of an old venue, but they have updated it. Now, I was up in the Downtown Loft in Conway, Arkansas from the New Year's celebration. Me and I think it was about 50 people. We could have probably stuffed another 50 people up on that roof. It is a nice venue. I've done a lot of weddings, and I think I did at least one birthday party up there when it was the rooftop at Michael's. I think that's what it was called before. But now it's on the third floor, downtown Conway, Arkansas. It's owned by a nice lady named Belinda Boyd. She is just lovely, and she wants to do great things. She just took it over, I think, in October of 2019, and she has already put decorations up on the walls, just really has turned that place into a really nice venue. There's indoors is probably big enough for 50 people, and then outdoors is another 50, and then as people want to traipse in and go out, it's indoors, outdoors, on the third floor in Conway, Arkansas. Can't say enough about this venue. Great for weddings. It's already got an arch that's set up outside, so if you wanted to have your wedding on the rooftop outside, and it looks, okay, you can tell you're on a rooftop, but there's also flooring and decorations, and it's painted up real nice. I can't say enough. You just head up to the Downtown Loft in Conway, Arkansas. Consider that as a venue for your any occasion. Anybody who, 100 people or less that need to be entertained. They have a kitchen, and there's a bar already set up there. So that is a nice thing about that venue. And I encourage you to give Belinda Boyd and the Downtown Loft a call. It was just so much fun, and she made it so easy to work with her. She was just the sweetest lady, her and her fella. So yeah, check out the downtown loft in Conway, Arkansas, and please, hey, if you're there and you need a DJ, consider hiring me. Why not? Shameless plug. This week's shows, hey, if you do want to see me play and you want to be a part of the show, I encourage you. There's 2 shows that I have this week. I'll be at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas on Thursday night from 6 to 9. That's my family-friendly video dance party karaoke jam. So bring everybody. It's a fun after-school, after-work treat. They got the best barbecue in my humble opinion, anywhere. I've had barbecue other places. They smoke their chicken wings, my personal favorite, and pretty much everything has that nice smoky flavor. I think their prime rib sandwich is back. You might want to check that out. Prime rib, baby. It is soft, chewy, and delicious. Enjoy it. And that's over at the Old Post. Oh, they also have frosty beverages for the adults in case you care to imbibe. But I do keep the music family friendly. So you can bring your grandma. Come on. Bring them. Bring the kids to the Old Post Thursday night, 6 till 9 in the p.m. You're the stars of the show. Karaoke time, baby. And then on Friday night, my adults only show. That is the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Friday night starts from 8 p.m. until almost 2 in the a.m. Yeah, real long, real late, and you are the stars of the show. It's the big room. The stage is yours. Video dance party, karaoke jam. They got the full bar. Isn't Conway in Faulkner County? Isn't that a dry county? Yeah, we got the alcoholics to prove it right there. Full bar. It is fully stocked. The kitchen is open. Once again, they have chicken wings and burgers and Jersey Girl pizza. Check that out. I tried some of that Jersey Girl pizza recently. It was delish. I tell you, it lives up to the hype. They also have the pool tournament every Friday night. So if you want to make some money while you're hanging out on a Friday night, I encourage you to do so. Talk to Jimmy and get yourself in the pool tournament. This week, I was informed they have a break and run, and the pot is up to $1,000+. I think Jimmy told me before he left it was $1,012. So that's a pretty big pot for a break and run. So if you've got any idea of how to play pool and make some balls in the holes, I don't play pool. Balls in the buckets in the pockets, yeah, that kind of thing. Put the stick in the. Okay, I'll stop doing that. It's just give it a shot, man. Maybe you can get your part of $1,000+. Yeah, make some money. And then hey, if pool's not your game, you can head out to the party patio. They got shuffleboard, foosball, darts. I'm still kind of iffy on the drunk people with darts idea. It's something that's kind of getting to my head. But thankfully, the darts are way out in the in the party patio. They also have a giant Jenga game and giant checkers. So while you're waiting to sing a song with little old me, you can have some fun. And we have a huge dance floor. So come out and shake your booty at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas, Friday night with yours truly. And as of right now, I still don't have anything to do on a Saturday. So if you have a party that needs some entertainment, DJLittleRock.com. Give me a call. You can check the price quote right there. You don't have to call me and say, "Hey, how much you charge for that?" No, you can get that quote by yourself. Look at that in the privacy of your own home or wherever you're at. All right, party people. I think I've talked your ear off enough. Let's let Mankind's Remedy talk to you. I got turned on to Mankind's Remedy. I was watching them I think I found them on either Instagram or Twitter, and I caught up with Brady Price. He's involved with the band, and you'll find out how he's involved with the band in just a few moments. So let's talk to Mankind's Remedy. Brady Price. Calling Brady Price now.
Hey, this is Brady. They're going to turn the music down here in a second. All right. Hey, we're going to put you on speakerphone so everybody can hear you, okay?
All right.
Yeah. All right, guys, this is Keys Dan. Dan, these are the guys.
Hey, all right. Mankind's Remedy, I'm guessing. My name's Keys Dan. You're on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. And I guess you can go in order of best to worst part of the band. Ooh, I'm going to start a band fight right off the bat. Who's the most important part of the band?
Speak up, Traven.
I'm just kidding. All right. Since I know Brady best and he's officially a Facebook friend, Brady, start with you. Give the people a little idea of who you are.
That's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. But no, these guys, they make great music, and we're here because of that, and because I believe in them. I believe in their music, and there's nothing more to it than that. I don't know where this is all going, but I like it so far.
Okay, nothing more to it than that. All right, interview's over. Thanks for coming on the What Makes You Famous podcast.
Come on,
dude. All right, well, maybe you can introduce the other guys in the band, and they could say a few words about who they are.
Well, you can't see him through all his hair, but his name is Traven Hargrave. He's from around my area, and he does the lead vocals, comes up with the basic composition of the songs, and here he is. Say hi, Traven.
Hey. Yeah, I just do my thing, and I make my little slaves work for me. Bennett and Mason. Mason is our bassist.
Yeah.
Bennett is our drummer.
Mason's more than just the bassist.
Oh, yeah, you do like...
Mason does a lot of the music production that's going along with this now.
Yeah.
And he comes up with a lot of good production ideas and things to do with the songs. So he's pretty much just as big a part of it as anybody.
I pretty much take the regular song and make it sound terrible.
All right, then. I'm looking at your Facebook, and I'm listing 4 people, but I only see 3 people in the pictures, in the photographs. It's a 3-piece band or a 4-piece band?
It's a 3-piece.
3-piece. So sound off. What's your name, and what do you play in the band? What's your position in the band? Each one of you.
I'm Traven, and I do the guitar and the lead vocals, and I'm also messing around with a little bit of the recording with Mason this time, and looking at synths, stuff like that, seeing what to add. Both gonna collab on that.
All that stuff. And I'm Mason, the bassist, and noise, non-melodic guy. I don't like... and Bennett is unfortunately not here with us.
Bennett's not here. He's our animal drummer, the Beast. He had to leave to go to work just recently, so we laid down all the rest of his drum tracks this morning in the studio. But I'm also his father, and the one that bought him his first drum set, and the second one, and all the other stuff that went along with it. So, yep, I'm pretty well heavily invested in him and in the band, and we're glad to be here today.
Okay, so Brady is not in the band. Brady's the band dad.
He's like the guy that makes everything happen. Like, we wouldn't be in the studio right now.
Yeah.
God,
I can dig it. It's all coming together, because I know the videos that I saw have 3 of you, and I didn't. Yeah, I saw that they were very young. And you, how young are you? The 3 members of the band.
Mason, you're 17. Right?
I'm 17. I'll be 18 in next month. Yeah.
Yeah. I just turned 18 in August on the last day, and
Bennett's about to be 19.
I was about to say, is he 18 or 19?
Yeah.
And what city is Mankind's Remedy located in?
We're out in the middle of Vermilion Parish, which is southern Louisiana. It's out in the country. But the individual member, like Traven, lives about 5 miles down the road from us. Mason now lives here in Lafayette, and Bennett, my son, he also lived down in Cow Island, but now he's living in Lafayette. So basically, all the band now is living in Lafayette. I forgot about Traven; he lives on campus
Yeah.
at UL, majoring in music. So all the guys are in Lafayette now. So they're still kind of all together in the same area.
All right. Does everybody study music, or is this something that you picked up on your own? How did you get your start? And we'll start with, say your name and then say how you got your start in music.
All right, so I'm Traven, and damn, I don't even remember like how old I was. Like, I know I had a toy guitar for a while, and I wasn't really into it at first, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just got into it. But I actually started with like Cajun music with the Babineau sisters. One of them was teaching me guitar.
Well, tell me a little bit about the Babineau sisters. I think I might have heard. Well, I mean, I know Babineau is a pretty common name in Louisiana and in the Cajun parts. But are they someone that did something? I'm not familiar with the Babineau sisters themselves.
Yeah, I believe I'm actually not sure what they're doing now. I think they're like a country / like Cajun band.
Didn't one of them teach music with you?
Yeah, it was Gracie Babineau.
Gracie.
And she did like acoustic guitar and she sang. And her sister Julie Babineau did a bass, I'm pretty sure, and I think she also plays piano. And I know she's probably closer to like my age because I remember her going to school with me for a little while.
So how was it starting with Cajun music? And forgive me if I'm wrong. Is that Zydeco music that you were into?
I don't even know if I was really like too into it. Well, maybe at the time, yeah. But then I got more into rock, and I kind of just stopped listening to like country and stuff. But I know my parents still like it, so. Sorry, Dad.
And don't be sorry. They're the ones that get you your start in music. I noticed that you're playing a lot of the what would be called classic rock right now. How come all the stuff that I listened to when I was on the school bus is now classic rock? Oh, yeah, I'm old. But you must have learned that from someone. You must have had a taste of that from your parents. I'm guessing that they were in charge of the radio in the car, of what records were put on the turntable. And kids, I know some of you are getting back into records, but a lot of people don't know what records are. These are MP3s that are melted into wax. I don't think I can explain it any better or worse. But who got you your first taste into music? And you say you started with Zydeco, but who was playing? What was the first things that you think you were hearing as a young person, as a young lad?
You know what? I think what first got me into music was sometime when I was at Bennett's house. We had another friend with us, Rylan, so this was like way back. And he showed me Nirvana. And I feel like that's what made me start wanting to like make my own stuff. And, I was kind of like a little wannabe Nirvana dude for a long time. And then, we started jamming more. I think I was at Music Academy in Lafayette for a while too, learning guitar there. And first I just started like, basically I'd have a teacher who would teach me like cover songs. So I was just sitting there learning songs. Then eventually I got into vocals. And then I did theory for a while before going to college. And now I don't go to Music Academy anymore because I have to pay for a dumb old college.
Well, you actually did some studying in music. You actually took some lessons. A lot of these people are watching YouTube videos and just learning on their own. Now, you say you started with, you got influenced by Nirvana. Was it their music or watching their videos or a little bit of both? Was it the style that Kurt Cobain had, just watching him, or was it listening more?
I think it became like listening more because, the first song that he showed me was, of course, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And we were like young, so we were really into that one. But then I ended up not so into that one and more into like their obscure stuff, like Milk It and stuff like that. So I kind of learned how to appreciate more of like the odd stuff.
Yeah,
And
well, the Smells Like Teen Spirit was probably their breakout video. It had a lot of production value in there. So if you wanted to get a sense of what Nirvana looked like, and maybe not necessarily, I feel like that video, as big as it was, as stunning as the video was, I don't think that. Well, I mean, I can't speak for Kurt Cobain because I never knew the man. But it seems like it's something that a record label would produce for them. I feel like when I watched him unplugged, that was more of a raw feeling of him. What is your thought on this?
I think so too. I'm not sure. I remember hearing a little bit about it. Like, I think their first two albums were probably like with producers, and I think he produced Incesticide like mostly on his own, right?
Yes.
And like, I actually really love that album too. It's great.
Yeah, I'm not going to look any of this up. I like fuzzy facts. I like stuff that just comes out of your head raw. So nobody who's listening to this podcast, look this up at all. Don't check any facts. This is great. No, and hey, Nirvana's a great place to start. They definitely have put a footprint on the music zeitgeist, if you, for lack of a better word. And maybe that is the best word.
Culture in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember 94 was huge. And then when he died, it was just, that was it. It solidified his legend. So that, I mean, people to emulate, hey, you could do a whole lot worse. But branching out from Nirvana, what else touched your fancy? What else tickled you and is influencing your music now?
I think after that might have came like classic rock. I think I was listening to that for a while.
Classic rock such as?
Let's see, I guess would Metallica be classic rock right now?
I guess it has to be.
Yeah.
Born in the late 80s, and now they're classic rock. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
I can't
old. Are you
really remember
Brady?
every
We're getting
band off the
older.
top of my head, but like a little bit of David Bowie.
How about Led Zeppelin?
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin. Y'all
I still probably haven't heard
y'all did
enough
some
of
Tom
them.
Petty. Y'all kind of got into that a little bit.
Oh yeah. Aerosmith. So it's
You're
just so
too hard
to
right
think of
now.
them
We're
all.
still trying to produce an album in here.
Yeah, I mean, these are all the bands that it seems like are influencing you and have. All right, and I've talked a lot to Trayvon, and who are the other ones? Who's the other one in the room there?
Mason is here with us too.
Mason.
So
All right.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked to Trayvon and Mason. Let's hear a little bit of your voice and your influences from how did you get started in music?
I believe first music memory was playing Rock Band, because that came out when I was around like 4 or 5. I don't know if anybody's, if you know anybody who's played that game. It's awesome. And I was great at it. I was like too good at it for the age I was at, like 6 or 7, and that's how I got into a bunch of songs. That's how I got into rock. I mean, my earliest musical memories are really, really blurry, so I couldn't tell you exactly what I was into until about 4 or 5 years ago. I started listening to, like, I started finding music myself, started finding other bands that I liked, and rather than just like listening to whatever, you know, my uncle or dad put on or whatever. And I was obsessed with this band called Highly Suspect for about 2 or 3 years, and so
Still are.
I mean, kind of in and out. I mean,
Mason did a cover song for one of Highly Suspect's tunes called Wolf. He did it on grand piano as a solo. That's
Yeah,
also out on
that's-
our like Spotify and stuff like that.
yeah,
Excellent. Look for that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now you do okay. So I'm listening and I'm hearing Mason and Trayvon have very different beginnings on what got them into rock music. You were playing
Yeah.
video games, and that
I
got
never,
you into music.
Yeah, I never took any lessons or anything. I guess I naturally just developed an ear for it, and I can't. It's like a sixth sense to me, kind of.
Well, I for one am jealous. I'm jealous of people that can just pick something up by ear. I know of people that play the piano and guitar and drums and many other instruments. They pick them up, they hear a note, and then they try to emulate that note on whatever instrument they're on, and they have it. They get it. No lessons, not reading any music. Which of the two of you can read music, if either of you?
I kind of can. I'm sure Traven can, but
same.
Yeah, I kind of can.
Not that great at it.
I would much, much, much rather playing by ear, whatever I'm trying to hear. Like,
where did you pick up whatever little taste of reading music? How did you get a hold of that? Was that something you learned online, or was it in school?
In high school, in band. But we were both in. I met Traven and Bennett in a high school drumline, a school called Kaplan High, and we were both in that.
I think you just triggered him. All right, let me try it again. Kaplan High.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't for me. He didn't You said Traven. You said Kaplan High, and he went So was that triggering, Traven? Did you have what was your experience in high school?
Oh God, it sucked.
Well, what sucked about it?
Just like, everybody's a teenager. People could be pretty like terrible, judgmental at that time, stuff like that.
I think what he's trying to say is room for individuality.
Yeah. I love college now. That's great.
All right.
I've been homeschooled for about 2 years now, and ironically, I'm more social than I was in high school. It's weird.
Who's doing Who's homeschooling you?
Mason, me. I did it online, and now it's my senior year, and I'm basically transitioning into adulthood, and that's kind of my curriculum, basically.
Wait, you're homeschooling yourself online?
Basically.
How do you do that? How is that legal? No guidance?
It's pretty legal. I mean, I'm not going to college, so it's not like the end of the world, I'm interning in this. I'm interning in the studio that we're recording in.
I want to know a little bit more about this homeschooling yourself. Okay, I have a daughter that's homeschooled, but her mother homeschools her, and she's very structured, and that one-on-one is definitely amazing. I'm all for it. But how do you find the structure, you have to self-motivate yourself, the motivation.
Well, it's all about discipline, man.
Yes.
It's, and not everybody is capable of, achieving that discipline. And I mean, that's fine. That's natural. But, it just takes a lot of self-preservation and discipline. And I mean, it works out for the right people. I'm not advocating this method of education for everybody.
Well, that says a lot about you, Mason, that you're very self-motivated and determined. Hey, and that's going to help a lot in any endeavor, including this band, Mankind's Remedy. So I think that's I have to applaud you, give kudos. When do you see yourself graduating?
Sometime. Well, this is 2020, so sometime this year.
So when you go online and you do your studies, do you have to take tests that are put into the state? Or
we have full control of my transcripts. It's kind of cool. It's I don't know. It's very liberating to not be in public school, and have time to have a job and also do things like this.
Fantastic, Mason. Hey, like I said, I do commend you on studying, on keeping up with your studies, even on your own. I mean, okay, one of the downsides of homeschool, people will say, "Oh, but you don't interact with other kids. You don't develop those feelings, those relationships."
It just depends on whose shoulder you're under, who you're relying on to keep you homeschooled. Because a lot of parents will homeschool their kids to shelter them, and that's not what my parents are trying to do. In fact, I think they're trying to do the exact opposite, because I'd
imagine that you're staying out of trouble. You can get into a lot of trouble in school. I had my share of fights. I mean, not a lot of fights. I was a fatter kid. I'm still a fatter kid, and whenever I did get in a fight, I would pretty much just sit on them until the teacher came. So, but that happens in school. You do get into fights. You do have those struggles as people try to break out with their own personalities. It's about discipline. Like you learn to, if you really try, when you're homeschooled, you kind of learn that on your own, and it's way easier to discipline yourself when you're not around as many people to kind of screw up that process. And Mason, you still have the guidance of your parents on a daily basis. They'll say, "Hey, did you do your studies? Did you go through your classes? Did you get things done?"
Right.
Well, good. You still have that very stable family home life. Traven, are you out of school now and into college? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I live on a campus right now, and I'm actually on a break till like January 14th, I think.
That's a long break, buddy.
Yeah.
You can get yourself in trouble there. No, but you're studying music, you said?
Yeah, music media.
What is music media?
I think it's like the other path closest to music business.
Kidding.
And like, yeah, so like I'll be learning like marketing and stuff, I'm pretty sure. Like the music industry and how to like mix and produce and stuff like that. But also there's the whole thing of like, I have to like be in like ensembles and stuff like that for this curriculum, which is pretty good because I'm learning more with like guitar and stuff. There's this awesome guitar teacher over there, Dr. Jeffrey George. So shout out to him.
Yeah. Traven, I think that's a great idea for any musician to get into the business side, because a lot of people think, well, when they get into the music business, a lot of people are undercut and, well, for lack of a better word, screwed by the music business. So this happens quite often. So you learning the ins and outs of music and the business itself, and thankfully you have Brady that's helping you guide you through that. And we'll get into how Brady is involved with this and a little bit more as time progresses in this podcast. But Traven, what specifically are you learning about the music business? I mean, is it money? Is it contracts? Is it how to be an agent? What are you learning in school?
Actually, I haven't got into it yet. They didn't like let me take well, first they're giving me like theory classes, I think. But they actually told me I couldn't take like music theory because I didn't know enough or whatever when I first got there. And it kind of sucks because how fast I'm going in like some lessons now, I definitely could have been able to do it. But there's just
okay, Traven, you're definitely touching on how schools need to be restructured. Kids need to be able to take the classes that they want to take and not the classes that they have to take, because those are the ones that are you're going to drop out more often than not. You're going to leave that class if the teacher is teaching you things that you don't want to learn. You want to learn music. You want to, you don't want to learn the theory so much. All right, yeah, okay. Mozart did a great thing. Beethoven, he was awesome. That's wonderful. Great. But how does that help me in my career in music? And
right.
I haven't even touched on that. Is Mankind's Remedy, is that something that you're playing with right now? Or do you want to make that into a career?
Yeah, I would love it to be a career. But No, I don't really know what's going to happen in the future. You know, Bennett or Mason may have to move to another state or across the world or something weird like that. But
that's not necessarily a deal breaker. I've already talked to musicians from all over the world, and they collaborate with people that they've never met that are in other countries, online, digitally. I talked to a guy in Australia. He's a guitarist, vocalist, and his drummer is in Israel, and his bassist is, I think, in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And they all collaborated together and made an album. So it's not something it's not a deal breaker. Maybe touring, you'll have to all jump on different planes and meet up at a certain place.
Yeah.
But all right, so you haven't started learning the business, but what's the curriculum? Is that what it is? Learning the music business itself?
I know one class for sure that they said I could take was Intro to the Music Industry.
And what was the synopsis on that one? The paragraph, the blurb.
I'm not really sure, actually.
You're not sure what that class is about?
Yeah, no.
Jump on in, man. Come on in. Well, that's cool.
I guess I'm just testing the waters or whatever.
All right. Now, Brady, you're the band dad. How are you involved? Are you getting gigs? Are you guiding them through their process? How are you doing this?
The gigs are sporadic, but when they happen, they just fall out of the sky, and we just gear up and go any way we can. Kind of whatever. Just so it's been hey, these guys are young and they're new, and nobody. Well, I say nobody, but very few people know about them, know the music, and that was sort of my vision, getting them in here the first time for our first album, Faceless, was instead of these guys trying to ragtag all through God's creation, playing for who knows what and where for how much, and kind of lending itself to their music not flourishing. So getting that first album done professionally was to me the biggest thing to do to help get it started on the right track, so that their calling card now is worldwide. I saw this morning you've been playing some of their stuff, and in the past you played a few of their tracks. So yeah, we're actually playing everywhere, just not live and for money. So and look, I mean, hey, music is not about money. That's you start throwing money into music and it waters it down, in my opinion. So I felt like this is the best way to get them going, and maybe the money will help support their music later. Is more what I'm after. Get the money to support the music.
Oh yeah, the business part will make it is the evil part. That's where the greed comes in.
That's what I want them to have to deal with, because the stress of just trying to get that part of it to work, it might kill their creativity or kill their attitudes and so.
But you don't necessarily want to be a starving artist your whole life. You'd like to make a living of some kind.
And that's just it. Get the music out, because that's the whole thing. So we get it on all these streaming sites, and we make fractions of a penny per stream. So, but to get that to continually build up and to help support and help pay for little bits of their music production here and there is what it's all about. So we actually took 1 year of revenue from TuneCore, which was less than $200, paid for food and boarding for this latest round of recording. So it just helped a little. You see what I'm saying?
Dig it. You're making money in the music business. Not a lot of money, but a little bit. And that's got to feel good. What do you think, Mason, making a couple $100 playing music? How does that feel? You've been passionate about this since a young age, since you started playing video games. Are you still playing video games, Mason?
Oh, not nearly as much now.
I mean, but how does that feel? All right, you didn't make a lot of money, but hey, you made some money playing an instrument.
That's fine. I mean, it's not a priority until it starts paying the bills. You know, I mean, and when that happens, I mean, I'm here for it, man.
Yeah. And see the guys have such a natural talent for our music that I don't see why that can't unfold if if we manage it right, if we don't overextend ourselves and just kind of stay within ourselves and stay within the music and let it take a mind of its own.
Excellent. Brady, so are you acting as the manager, or are you sharing that responsibility with the other dads and moms?
I opened up the music business cookbook and just sort of tackled one thing at a time. And one of the first things was forming an LLC for tax reasons and for future endeavors. And so I had to kind of learn that side of it. And legal, all the legal stuff with copywriting and you name it, getting to know the legal side. So I've had to learn a lot in as short a period of time as I could because of my own financial means. I got to stay within myself as well. So I knew the only way to do it was to do it fast, as quickly as I could, and not miss anything. So a lot of this was moving forward and then backing up a little bit, and then kind of making sure I dotted all my I's and crossed my T's and then move back forward again, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's been a little stressful for me too, but managing the stress and all that good stuff is part of life, and that's what we do. That's why we're here today. That's why I haven't gone crazy yet.
Brady, is that an actual book? Well, what's the name of that book if it is?
Oh, I'll be putting it out in about 5 years.
No, I'm saying you said you opened up the book.
I'm joking. No, the cookbook of music is called search it on Google, search the internet, look for key things on exactly what it is I'm trying for. Now, I did find kind of a helpful guide. It's sort of like a X amount of things to do when making a record or making music. And that was one of the first things I keyed in on because this guy, and I can't remember his name, but he put it out, and he's his own business. He turned himself into a business and does it for a living. And so he keyed in on, I think it's actually 26 things to do. And so I would do those. And when I get sort of in a rut, I would back up and I'd just reread through those steps. And it would usually, something would pop out and I would say, okay, here we go. And I would keep going forward.
Fantastic. Brady, this internet thing, I think it's going to catch on. The kids are using it a lot, and I think you can
we're
find
thankful
things.
Al Gore invented it.
Yeah, I remember that. When we were inventing the internet. Thank you. That's my Al Gore. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm here all week. Right. Now, you did touch upon something, and any of the young people or any of the people that are trying to delve into the music business, incorporate yourself. Incorporate yourself, man. I did it back in 2004. I've been DJing since 1986, on the radio since about that time. I wish I would have incorporated myself back then. The taxes and with the president that we have now, that's just being a corporation. It helps you in your taxes so much. So, yes, that's great advice for the people. And you did incorporate yourself. What's the name of your corporation?
It was really easy. Mankind's Remedy LLC.
Excellent.
That helped me keep things sort of that way too. We also did the same with BMI when I did our publishing license. We did Mankind's Remedy Production. Just trying to keep it all as easy to manage in the mind, so to speak, and it's worked out that way so far.
Very good. Mankind's Remedy. All right, let's get into the name Mankind's Remedy. Why?
This is Traven Hargrave. It was his idea.
I'll let him answer it then.
Sir?
I'll let him answer it.
Okay, I was introing.
All right, so here's what happened. I was sitting in a physics class, I believe, physics or chemistry back in high school. And literally all I did was draw a cool letter M. And then I wrote MKR, I believe. And I was just like, hey, Mankind's Remedy. And this was like when we were trying to think of a name, I believe, like before doing our first album. So the name is about as new as the album, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I just thought about that, and I thought it up in my head, and I was like, but here's the thing. Gotta let people know that I'm not calling myself Mankind's Remedy. That's my one fear, that everybody's gonna like turn their heads away because they're gonna be like, oh, these are just some like pretentious kids writing music thinking they're all that. But I mean, that's not it at all. Because music is Mankind's Remedy to me. So I guess it's more of like a message to me.
Traven, it's kind of hard not to get a swelled head when you're hanging out in front of a bunch of people and they're all having fun listening to your music, listening to you play. They're all there because of you. It's hard not to get an ego the size of Louisiana. How about that? So, but yeah, I'm with you. You're not saying that you're Mankind's Remedy, but it's a great name. It really is, and it's something that just came about. All right. So when did you start playing together as a band?
We all started playing together. Bennett and Traven played together for, I'm guessing,
I think it was since 8th grade.
Yeah, so like a year before I met them. I met them my freshman year. It was their sophomore year. And
give me years. Give me years so we can get a timeline on this.
Ooh, this was like, I was maybe 14 or 15. I was about to turn 15. So about 2.5 years ago, I would say. 3.
Well, I don't know when people are going to be listening to this podcast, so give years on that.
2016.
I'll make you do the math.
Like end of 2016, 17.
I just keep asking myself, how old am I? Trying to figure out the years, but okay. It was my sophomore year.
Yeah.
Me and Bennett played for 2 years.
Yeah, okay. But I met them about 2016, 2017, beginning of end of 2016, beginning of 17. And I mean, Bennett he saw me play bass like one day, I guess, and I wasn't that great at it, but he was like, you want to come play bass for us and just hang out? And I barely ever talked to them before that, and it was just like, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead. And we jammed for a little bit, and we did it again and again for the next few months, and we would play some Traven's original songs. I would do like cover songs because I wasn't really writing my own material yet. But oh yeah, Traven's played. There's so many old songs.
There's so many
that we haven't even recorded.
Like thrown on here.
Oh yeah, Traven has we've played so many songs, so many original songs together, and it's been like this ever since.
It's like the main focus.
Now, Traven, you say that you and Bennett were together 2 years previous to that. Was that in the drum line?
No, this was back in middle school, 8th grade year. So like the year before drumline. Well, I didn't start drumline until my sophomore year in high school.
So what were you playing together previous to that? What was the first thing you were doing?
That, it's making me think back. There's like a bunch of old cringy videos of us playing. Because we sucked. We definitely sucked at the beginning.
Did you leave them out there on the YouTube, or is this
there's a video
they've been taken down?
There's a video on Bennett's Instagram of them playing some song. I don't know if it was a cover.
That's not when we were too bad though.
It wasn't terrible. That was before I met y'all.
Oh wait, never mind. That's my Instagram that has like Infestation on it. Yeah, which is like one of our new ones.
Yeah, no, there's another one that's on Bennett's Instagram, and it's like, it's cool.
I think
it wasn't terrible.
You know, when you get huge, all the news medias are going to want to look back and find out the early beginnings. Hey, this was
Oh,
them
yeah.
when they
Yeah, I
started
think we were
back in
playing like a
2016.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think we were playing like a slowed down, really heavy version of "Breed" by Nirvana, maybe.
Oh,
Unless that's
that
also
might
on
have been what it was. Might have been what it was. Yeah.
Excellent. So, had you been playing covers in 2016 when you got together? What were the covers that you were playing? What was the first things that you were playing?
A lot of it was what I was obsessed with back then, which was Highly Suspect. I'm kind of glad I grew out of it because I mean I've been obsessed with that band for such a long time. But that was basically the majority of the covers we played, along with some other songs that I listened to and some of the songs that Traven listened to at the time.
But I don't remember them all.
I don't
I'm
remember
sure
them all
it was
either.
Nirvana,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
I don't remember all the
Don't be
songs.
afraid of your obsessions. I've been obsessed with Queen since the 70s. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I still like them. I think they're very diverse. All their albums are completely different. It seems like they're different, completely different bands each album. They reinvent themselves. And I know you touched upon David Bowie. Loved him since then, too. So,
Yeah.
don't
And
be
I'm not-
afraid of
I
your
mean-
obsessions. Yeah.
No, nowadays I'm definitely not afraid of what I'm obsessed with now. I've listened to weird bands for the past year and a half. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Death Grips, but as soon as I started listening to Death Grips, it was like downhill from there.
down here.
Death Grips was the most pop, the most mainstream of the bands. It all went downhill from there.
Oh yeah. The most widely appealing band that I've listened to since Death Grips was Death
That just
Grips.
sounds so weird.
Yeah.
They're the most mainstream out of them.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that affecting your creativity at all?
oh, absolutely. I don't think so. I make my own solo stuff at home on my own, like just in my room,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really proud of it. And like, I'm, I don't think I could have made what I'm doing now, and I don't want to like surprise it but like, I don't think I could have made what I'm doing now if I never listened to Death Grips, or if I never listened to these weird Black Midi, or like just a bunch of other bands. Like, I don't think I ever could have made what I'm doing now if I didn't listen to those. I probably would have been, just another Highly Suspect protege that has, a few different musical influences,
I think you might be turning my listeners and myself onto some new bands, things that we might need to touch upon. Put it in our
Oh, yeah.
headphones, drop them
Yeah,
into the old iPhone.
man. Yeah, and I've gotten Bennett and Traven into a lot of the bands I listen to. There's amazing music out there if you just look. Like, a lot of people will say that, like, rock's dying or whatever, and sure, in the mainstream possibly. I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but there's, it's not what it used to be. But if you look past that, there's a lot of like brand new rock bands today that are consistently innovating and evolving the genre for people who are willing to listen to it, and it's sad that people think that rock is dying, because it's not alive in the mainstream, but it is live and well in like the underground, the alternative scene. There is amazing music out there today, and not even just rock, anything else.
Now, I'm going to
There's
ask
so
for what bands you're into today besides the Death Grip, and which bands that you may be touching the mainstream on. But what you did touch upon is that you do some stuff on your own. And I find that a lot of bands are like this. They're creative in their own individually, and then they create together. Traven, do you do things on your own as well? Do you record some things in your room?
I actually started, I bought a interface not too long ago and played around on GarageBand, and I just purchased the kind of expensive app, Logic.
Oh, he's bragging now. Oh, they're making that kind of money. I get it. No, if you're going to do it, do
it's
it right.
not too expensive, so it's probably not really. Probably, I don't really know much about it. I don't know if it's as great as it sounds, but I've been liking it so far. It was only like $200 maybe, and that was like stuff my parents gave me for Christmas.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.
So was it a good Christmas? Are you still celebrating? As much as you can?
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely since I'm like off from college. It's like the whole winter break.
Letting people know, if you're listening to the podcast, we're just into 2020. It's a Saturday, a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in, they're in Louisiana and I'm in Arkansas, and we're here on the phone. So it's January 4th, 2020, the year of clarity. How's your year been so far?
Pretty good, I guess. It doesn't really feel too different or anything.
I mean, recording an album is a great way to start off a new decade.
A great way to start.
Oh yeah. All right. So, since you're talking about recording albums, did you do your first one in 2016?
No, 18.
2018. Okay, so from 2016, when you first got together and you were playing some covers, yes, a lot of the ones that you were obsessed with. But from 2016 to 2018, how did you form into an original band, and how many original songs had you created, and who was doing the songwriting? And yes, I'm going to throw a lot of questions at you so you can answer whichever ones you want. So who was doing the songwriting, and how often did you practice, and did you put this in front of any people? Did you do any shows? Go.
We did like a few shows, and
it was like really small gigs, like small town festivals, and I mean, a bar or two or something like that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a lot, but I mean, Traven does all the songwriting.
Yeah, I do the lyrics and the guitar, and then we kind of just throw everything together after that.
Yeah, we just kind of pick up on the baseline idea of the song, and we just kind of go from there.
And we didn't really practice that much.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, not to sound conceited, but we kind of don't need to. I mean,
sure, we need to go over it.
I mean, yeah. You should at least know what song we're playing, but
they gel together so well that even though I'm worried about how much rehearsing time they've had before coming in the studio, I have to kind of step back and realize that they've been doing this for a while now together. Mm-hmm. So they know all the cues to look at on each other or to listen for. So it really does just fall together just like that.
And our method of like creating it's not like, we write this stuff down and this is what we're going to do at this time and in this tempo. And, we just kind of, even in the studio, we've just kind of, like I said, laid down the baseline idea of the song and just kind of developed from there. There wasn't like a solid plan. It was just kind of doing what feels right.
Mm-hmm. And I actually wanted to practice these songs a little more than like we got to, but it ended up perfectly fine because really I just sat in my room playing them to myself.
Yeah.
Like forever, for like about a month or longer.
Yeah.
Just sitting there singing them to myself. It's like my problem is like forgetting my own lyrics sometimes.
Yeah.
So I just had to sit there and memorize them all, which I think is like probably like a really big accomplishment for me.
Here's a typical interview question in 3, 2, 1. Traven, tell me about your songwriting process.
Oh God, it can be like anything. I wrote about like a story that I heard one time. I wrote about a poem, the Walrus and the Carpenter or something. That's like a little bit what Hey Buddy is about off of our first album, Faceless. Talking about the sun is out and the sky is black and stuff like that. Like the weird story about it, like the clams were like pretending to be friends, or the walrus and the carpenter were pretending to be friends with the clams so they could cook them and eat them or whatever. It's like weird stuff. And Hysteria was about like the Salem witch trials and stuff like that.
I know that.
Because like everybody's like, you know, hysterical, going crazy. Burn them on the stake. Witch.
So Traven, are these stories that you were, well, for lack of a better word, forced to read in school, and they enhanced your creativity?
Yeah, actually, it was because of school, but I guess those were the two that I remembered the most and liked the most, and I just wrote about that. And sometimes I could write a song just because I thought of like one word, and then like the whole song would just be laid out right there. But like that's kind of like long ago, like Distortion Head Overdrive, that one off our first album. I was literally like, you know what? I just need a weird title for something. So I looked at my pedal board and I saw Distortion and Overdrive, and I was like, about Distortion Head Overdrive, and I just wrote a bunch of weird lyrics, and that was it.
Well, that's a way to process as well. And I know I said that you're forced to read. There are a lot of books that I read in high school, and I read in school, for that matter, all through school, that are still in my head today. I can still think about them. Beowulf, for sure, and it is one that I read, and it blew my mind. And there's so many movies that have been made about the story of Beowulf, the epic poem, Norse gods, and the Beowulf and Grendel dichotomy. I mean, have you heard of this story?
I mean, not really, but I remember seeing a bit of one of the movies for sure.
Yeah, you've probably seen a movie. The 13th Warrior was a Beowulf movie. There's many movies, adaptations that have been called Beowulf, and you know, this is one that got stuck in my head. So I'm all for reading in school and outside of school, for that matter. So are you a poet, or is this? Are you a lyricist? I think a poet writes poems, and then possibly can be made into songs, or they could just be left alone. And then there's a lyricist that, you know, even though you're writing things that rhyme, you're already thinking about the music that's going to go along with those words. Which category do you fall in, or is it a little bit of both?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I stopped worrying a little bit about rhyming.
It feels like a case-by-case basis, depending on which song you're trying to go for.
So the first thing that you wrote that you thought would be creative, I mean, outside of a class assignment, and maybe it was a class assignment, was it a poem, or were you writing poems, and you said, you know what, this will make a great song, and you made a beat, or were you thinking of a beat and you put words to it?
I think I actually may have had the guitar part before, and then I might have called it "Hey Buddy" before I heard the story.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember that part, but
yeah,
I may not have.
A lot of people, when they're doing these podcasts, they kind of think about, wow, I hadn't thought about that in a while. So, you know, formulate the thoughts, and, oh, yeah, that's true. So what was the first song that you wrote, and how did that come about?
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, how about the first song that you recorded? Let's put it that way, because sometimes the first song that you wrote, it might not be that good, which is why it's not laid down on any in any MP3 or any media form that can be consumed by anybody. The first song that actually got recorded and you put it out there to the world, you said, hey, this is good. How did that come to be?
Hey Buddy.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. That was also Hey Buddy, but before we did it in the studio, I also recorded it somewhere else before, but I didn't publish it or anything. I just kept it to myself. And it kind of just sounded too produced.
Like glossy.
Yeah. Like, I guess
that really wasn't raw enough.
Yeah.
So how would you think it's too produced? Was it
probably the
bubblegum?
worst.
Did it feel like, oh, it doesn't even sound like me anymore?
Yeah, the voice for sure was different, and also like we didn't have like real acoustic drums for that. Like the guy was just pressing it on a keyboard, and he did it. I didn't really do anything. All I did was guitar and vocals and bass. Yeah,
Hey, that's
Yeah.
not unheard of. The guy, what is it? Foster the People, the Pumped Up Kicks was a song maybe 4 years ago or so, and he made that song in his living room. Is what the story I've heard. He made all the whole song himself in his living room without his band. Sent it to the record company as a demo, and they put it out just like that. And now when they play it live, it's not anybody who was on the song, because it was, I guess his name is Foster the People. It was him by himself. So that's not something that's unheard of. You can play things on a keyboard and put it out there. But it's nice to hear all that stuff live, man, to see musicians to get up and get out. I mean, did you hear the story of Foster the People?
no, actually,
You just
but
heard it.
I remember.
And that's, once again, don't look up any of these facts. This is fuzzy memory from yours truly, okay?
I remember being really into that song when I was young too.
Yeah. I mean, this is and you're like, oh, okay. And I guess his band, a day or two later, oh, they're just putting that out, without us.
Mhm.
So, hey, stories of bands, and these are things that pops into my head as we're talking to Mankind's Remedy. The two out of three ain't bad, and a band dad too, so that's not bad. I feel bad that your other member is not there.
Yeah,
Perhaps we'll get him on a podcast as bigger and better things happen to Mankind's Remedy. So, 2016 to 2018. You wrote that song. Was it what was it, Buddy? Hey Buddy.
yeah.
Tell me more about the process of Hey Buddy and why that was so glossy and how you had to tone it down.
I believe that was also sophomore year. Yeah,
What year?
that's is that 2016?
16.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
about 2016, might have been in 2017 when I did it. But I remember writing the guitar first, and then I heard that I can't remember if it was a poem or some other type of literature, whatever you call it. But after that, I think I sort of subconsciously wrote the lyrics and then realized, hey, this sounds kind of like the Walrus and the Carpenter. And there's also another version of the story where it's backwards and the clams eat the Walrus and the Carpenter, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was that, and I think it was going to be acoustic first.
Okay.
'Cause,
and did you record that anywhere?
No, I didn't do it acoustically. I did it with electric at a music academy, actually, where I took lessons. I don't
And what did
remember
your
how.
instructors and your peers think when you put that out to them?
I think for sure they liked it, and they just gave me ideas or whatever that I could do with it later on.
And,
And,
how did you incorporate their ideas into the finished product?
I think I just sang it better. I think that was my only ideas because my teacher at the time was my vocal teacher. So I think he showed me other ways I could sing. And I can't remember. I probably just got better at singing higher pitches and stuff. But instrumentally, everything just kind of gradually got better. Like when we did it over here at Dockside, I put backing guitars that I never even thought of. I literally thought about it the day of recording, I think, and was like, oh, here we go, I'm putting this on there.
And you say backing guitars, like overdubbing?
Yeah, playing different chords over the melody.
Okay.
Yeah. So
makes it kind of hard to play live, unless you hire somebody else.
Yeah, we don't really worry too much about that. We never really play anything the same too much.
I don't believe in playing songs live exactly how you hear them already in studio format. You know, I think every live performance should be unique to that moment. And, I mean, that's why people perform live in the first place, because it's, you know, something that you experience in the moment, you know.
Yes, it becomes a shared experience. What's your view on those bands that change the words or the lyrics of a song to match the cities that they're in? You know, originally this song said New Orleans, Louisiana, but I'm in Baton Rouge, so I'm going to change it to Baton Rouge, or I'm in San Diego, California, so I'm going to change it to San Diego. What do you think about that?
I mean, the inception of that, whoever came up with doing that, I'm sure it was cool at the time, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a neat way to interact with whoever you're performing to.
It's pandering. It's pure pandering.
But I mean, so is moshing. I mean, that's a great way to interact with your crowd.
All right, so you jump off the stage and get into that mosh pit? Is that one of the things? Oh, okay.
The thrill of that, man.
That's very interactive.
It's very primal.
Giving the bands a hands-on.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, cool. All right. So that's how you wrote your first song, or at least the first song that showed any real promise, and that one's out there that people can listen to, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's on a first album, Faceless, and I think it's the
very first
song too.
Track.
Yep, yeah. I'm looking on your Spotify. It's you have 5 tracks there that I can see, and
basically, our Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Let's go from there. What are the other songs that you put on that first album, and how did that first album actually come to be? And maybe this is a question for Brady, since he was instrumental in putting the album together with you guys.
Honestly, the weird thing is I think some of those songs on that album are newer than the songs that we're having on our second album, which I guess they're kind of new to us since it's our first time like playing them all together and stuff. But some of them are like old songs that I wrote like way back when.
Yeah, I mean, Faceless. I mean, I have a soft spot for it.
It's kind of just thrown together of what we thought sounded good at the time, I guess.
We didn't. There wasn't as much time allotted as we have right now to, I don't know, kind of trim down what was. I mean, that album was very spontaneous. So, I mean, but in the time we managed to put it together, I mean, I think it's a pretty impressive effort. I mean, dude, Hysteria, Start Again, Distortion Head Overdrive. I mean, those songs are great. I'm just glad that now we have time to do more things with this next album.
Time Flies By is still my favorite off of that one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had that material that was setting aside that you weren't sure about for the first album, but you're touching upon something in the music business that I've it's always been interesting to me. Maybe it really hasn't bothered me, and it's an observation that I'm sure other people have had. People put out their first album and it becomes a success. Wow, amazing. All right, now in another year, give me another one. And you don't realize that these artists had their whole lives to come up with this material, this creativity, these ideas for this first album. And now in a year, you want me to come up with a whole new set of ideas? You know, it's got to be hard. It has to be hard. I've never done it, and you're doing it. But how many songs do you have in your repertoire that you have not put on any other album?
I cannot give a very accurate number of that. Maybe like hundreds by now.
hundreds of songs that haven't been fleshed out, that haven't been. I mean, are they able to be played on a stage, or are these primarily ideas that are living on a hard drive somewhere, maybe partially recorded?
Well, they're actually just ideas living in a book right now. I have like a giant journal full of like lyrics right now. I might be halfway full of it or something like that.
Wow. So yeah, is it? Are you say you're but you are some kind of a poet as well, right?
I would think so, I guess.
Have you thought about putting out a book of poems? Or do you think that would burn your lyrics? Possibilities for songs, or they could still be made into songs, even if they are put out in poem form. Have you thought about making a book of poems?
I'm not sure. I mean, probably not. I think I prefer to just make them into something like music.
Okay, so how many things are produced? How many songs that do you have in your repertoire that you can go up on stage and just play them with the band?
Let me think. So like 12,
About 30, something like that.
Yeah,
That.
probably about
Yeah.
18. Maybe? No, 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
28. That's about 2 hours of music right there. So if
There
you
you
want to
go.
hire out Mankind's Remedy, you'll get a good 2 hours. I mean, you could stretch these things out even into 3 hours of music. And it's from, okay, I'm taking it back to 2016 to 2018. You were playing smaller venues then as a band. And were you playing originals at the time, or were you playing more covers, or was it half and half?
Well, this is Brady again. Actually, after the first album came out, that's really when everything started happening as far as live performances. But the great thing about it is when we did get those live gigs, they were able to get on stage and play their original music. They didn't have to play crowd favorites and whatnot. So to me, at that point, it didn't really matter how many people were there. It was the fact that they got to get out in a different setting with different, sound equipment, whatever, and play their original music, to work on performing their original music to a live audience, so which they did have people there, but not like, where you would want to take your music to the larger crowds. But that, I think, was the best part of that for them.
No, Brady, as long as people are know what they're there to expect, they're not expecting to see a cover band. They're expecting to see a brand new band that is putting out their original stuff. What was the response from the audience when you were at the merch table? And I'm guessing you had a merch table. I'm hoping you had a merch table.
I'm still learning what that is.
Merchandise, putting out your CDs.
Oh yeah,
stickers, T-shirts.
Put it in. We have all that stuff. We have shirts, CDs, and whatnot. And but
well, that's where you get to interact with the fans.
Yeah, the way it all happened, that became kind of a moot point. Like, no, let's just get out there, play the music, and let them know that our music is available, and if they want it, they knew where to get it.
All right. Well, afterwards at the meet and greet, what the kids say? What the fans say?
We haven't had that type of performance yet, where they get to actually interact with a music audience. Most of their interactions have been with the bands that they opened for, played with, and their fans or people. So they haven't really had that exposure just yet.
Well, that's a nice thing that bands have is whenever a bigger band will come into your town, sometimes they'll try to find a local band to open up for them, and
right.
that helps. I mean, but
that's what we keep our eyes open for stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard you do have to pay for that experience, though. Is that something that you've had to do?
What's that?
That you've had to? A lot of people have to pay to play. Okay, say
okay,
Poison.
So we
Poison comes through and they go, hey, who wants to open for us? It's $2,000.
Yeah, so we have an opportunity that was offered to us recently and just right now with producing the album and getting this next one done, they wanted $60 for us to submit to them, and then they would tell us when and where we were going to play. And I'm like, no thanks.
Okay. Yeah. This is more of that business, that show business, or that business show. Maybe the business should be first.
And then, you know, just for us right now, you know, I'm not saying I would never do that, but timing, you know, the way that this one all came about, I just looked at the logistics of things and said, no, we'll pass on this one. Let's focus more on where we are now.
Yeah, you definitely have to weigh out your options. You say, you know, Aerosmith comes into town, and hey, Mankind's Remedy, could you open for us? It'll only cost you $1,000. That's, and I'm guessing that's low. I'm guessing that's real low.
I think we would invest that $1,000 more to our advantage.
Right,
Absolutely, to put your faces out in front. But then you would be so nervous before that show, just practicing every day. All right. So, what's your practicing process? How often does the band get together and play? And where is your practice space? Is it there at your house, or do you have another space to play in?
It changes.
Yes, not really like a scheduled thing or anything.
Yeah.
We all three of us work now, so it's a little harder.
All right. Well, tell me about the Joe jobs. Anything that you could make into a career, or is it something to pass the time away?
I'm definitely not working at Domino's all my life.
Same. I work with Traven at Domino's. I actually got him hired there, and maybe not for the best.
Can we get an endorsement from Domino's for this?
They have fine pizza products. This portion of the show brought to you by Domino's.
We actually have a table right now full of Domino's pizza that I bought for the band earlier.
Hey, pizza just might be the perfect food. My family, I think, wants to have some pizza a little bit later. So, yeah. I'm all for it. Hey, and that's not a bad job, man. Are you a driver or a cook? Or are you making the pizza? What are you doing?
Traven's actually a biker. We have bikes now.
Wow. I didn't know that the city was that tight. I guess are you living in a bigger city?
Yeah. Lafayette. Oh, yeah. At downtown Lafayette, around we're near the UL campus where Traven goes to college.
I'm sure I've probably almost died a few times.
I imagine so. I watch those guys on movies, and they're daredevils.
I have a pizza. I've probably almost died a few times, and I don't even drive.
All right, and you're
Mr. Dan.
Yes.
If I may, please. We are in studio right now. The clock is still turning.
Oh, that's why.
That way we can kind of wrap it up. And these guys actually have some stuff that they're going to be working on here as soon as we get off some.
Well, that's where we're at, Brady. Where we are today and where we're heading into the future with Mankind's Remedy. Tell me about what's going on right now. You're in the studio right now recording. This is album number 2.
Yep.
And how many songs are on this one?
16.
16 songs. People don't record albums anymore. They throw them out as singles onto Spotify or Apple iTunes or wherever you get music.
We're gonna start it off like that and then put them all out at the same time a little later, but it should still be in this year, 2020, hopefully.
So what kind of media are you going to be putting it out on? Is it all digital media, or are you going to be putting
everywhere,
some hard press?
As much as we can.
Just wherever we can, and whatever we can afford.
Thinking about putting out a limited album, perhaps a vinyl.
Man, I want to do vinyl so bad.
That is definitely something that
would be really cool.
If we had a good solid fan base, that would be something to look into later.
Sure enough. So name out the songs, and I guess they're all. You've been practicing for how long to put these 16 songs on an album?
A few days.
Yeah, 2 days.
2 days. And how much time do you have to put them on the album in studio?
We had all day yesterday.
We have a little while left of today still. And then we have a little while left
tomorrow, and that's it.
What do you have finished so far?
All of it.
Yeah, we
Like all of it, like as in, before mixing and mastering and adding,
and fixing vocals, and
all that.
more like backing guitar, lead, and rhythm.
But all the performances are done.
And
So that's
what studio are you in, and who's doing all the mixing for you? Give them shout outs.
Mr. Justin Tockett.
He's actually sitting over there, but he doesn't like doing podcasts, so we'll let him stay quiet over there and do his private meditating.
No, that's fine. I mean, I like to give credit where credit is due. Putting stuff together is not just one person, not just an individual. It's always a concerted effort to put.
So
albums
he's
together.
been in the business about as long as you have. I know he has probably 26 years behind the board over here. So
his ear is probably better than mine.
yeah,
and it's good to have. It's good to have one of those. Say his name once again.
Justin Tockett.
That sounded like a song, man. I think
right. We might do one about him later on.
Yeah, you will. Any places that people could see you perform in the Lafayette area or around?
All they got to do is call. We'll be there.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Aerosmith? I know I've already put it out into the universe. Call them next time you're in town and let them play for you. All right. Thank you so much, the members of Mankind's Remedy. I hope to meet up with you in the future. And we have Traven and Mason out there, and Brady, the band dad, the manager, the man that's learning all the behind the scenes stuff and putting the music together, man. Any last words for the people? I guess we could start with Traven.
Please listen to my music. I need your help.
And if I could shout out my solo effort, Punk MMFD, you'll search that up, man. And if you like what Mankind's Remedy is doing, don't expect to like my stuff.
Yeah. Let the people know how to get a hold of you. I guess it's Mankind's Remedy anywhere. I pretty much put Mankind's Remedy into the Google search, and everything came up. All of your stuff came up. I think there's somebody that's named almost what you are, but it's pretty simple to discern which one's which.
Well, and that was the other thing too. We did. I had the name of the band trademarked so that we wouldn't run into any issues like that down the road.
I think there's a Keys Dan in England, and he said, "Oh, mate, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I use that name? I'm a pianist." And I said, "Man, I have no problem with that. Come on." So Mankind's Remedy, find them everywhere. I know they're on Spotify and the like, but certainly on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Who's doing all the posting?
Brady, man.
I opened up all the accounts, and I'm the one. I did the claim the Google page that you were searching on. Just recently got that accomplished. But yeah, it's seems like as I'm kind of wrapping up on promoting the first album, I know that this time around, as far as what I did the first time, will take probably a fraction of that time now that it's all there. So I wasn't nervous or concerned about putting out another album because, once it's done, it's done. Like riding a bike, they say, huh?
Oh, yeah. Brady Price, you're the glue that puts Mankind's Remedy together. I appreciate you being on the podcast. Any last words from you?
Say something loud, Traven.
Say something loud, Traven.
And I guess I didn't get the last words from Mason. You'll be the last words for this podcast.
One of your Tourette rants. No cuss words.
Like I said, shout out Punk MMFD. That's all I got for you. You just willing to try it out, man. It's great.
Well, there you have it, party people. Mankind's Remedy. Well, I had two out of three of the members. I was talking to Trayvon and Mason, and I got to talk to Brady Price. That's the band dad. He's learning the ins and outs of the biz, making sure that his boys are well protected, and he's already incorporated them, and they're recording their second album right now. I know I had to cut the interview a little bit short because they were in studio. I was kind of iffy when we set up this time on whether it's probably a good idea. We're burning studio time to do a podcast. Yeah, I don't want to put a time limit on this podcast. So, we could do this again in the near future. I want to hear more and more and more from these fine fellas of Mankind's Remedy. They're out there in Louisiana doing their thing. So if you need some entertainment at your next event, your next venue in the Louisiana area, and perhaps they'll travel if the money's right, you know. But as you heard in the interview, it's not about the money right now. Right now it's about them putting their band together and putting out their stuff, and hopefully it does make them a living. Quite often, and I mentioned it in the podcast, that when you hear the word artist, starving is right in front of it. And hopefully these kids make it. They got a chance. Any chance is any. Well, did I say that right? No, I did not. I obviously did not. Words hard, talking hard. And they're a 3-piece band. They got a drum, they got a bass, and a guitar with vocals. So that's all you need for a rock band. Go and see Mankind's Remedy at an event near you. And if you don't find them an event near you, make an event and then hire Mankind's Remedy. Find them everywhere on I Googled Mankind's Remedy, and they pretty much just popped right up. They got the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and they're all over the Spotify. I think they pay them a little bit. They said they made a couple $100 last year, and hey, hopefully they keep making hundreds of dollars off of the little pennies per play that you give them. So put them on your Spotify list. Give them a listen. Do it. Rock on as you do the things you do. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. If you want to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here. If you like what you hear, follow What Makes You Famous social media. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Follow on Facebook at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Instagram at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Twitter at Makes Famous. And follow on YouTube at Keys Dan. Leave What Makes You Famous podcast a review and subscribe. Listen to What Makes You Famous podcasts on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and almost anywhere you find podcasts. Tell your story on my podcast, What Makes You Famous. Call 501-470-6386 and leave a message to set up a time. You can support What Makes You Famous using the PayPal link, paypal.me/KeysDan. Email info@radiowhat.com. What Makes You Famous podcast is a production of Keys Dan Enterprises Incorporated at keysdan.com. Thank you for listening. This is Keys Dan.
And this is Shelly G.
And you're listening to
RadioWhat.com.
Radio What? The music you want. With some words to live by.
Growing old beats the alternative. Dying young.
A public service message from RadioWhat.com. The music you want.